airplane mode. There you go. We're recording this. And taking care of ourselves and others. So on when you're up and moving around for those sorts of things. When you are eating and be careful of your friends. Jim, good enough.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe Gassel, live and in person, 2 weeks running. Downtown Sebastopol.
This one.
Well, you know, it's tomorrow, right?
He's wearing a mask.
Yes, Patricia, yes. I was just smiling. If you don't know the words, they're really easy. But it starts with, when Irish eyes are smiling, sure it's like a morning spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish eyes are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. But when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they'll steal your heart away. Do you know that song? Yeah, when you want to join, we'll teach it to you. There we go. So, thank you very much. Please do sit back down, make yourselves comfortable.
Right here.
Look at us.
That's the light.
Every table is full and all the eyes are smiling. So, thank you to Nick Randall who helped us to set up, and Gus. We're hoping you stay afterwards because we have to get the green tables, all the chairs back up. So if somebody wants to stay behind and help poor old Gus and poor old David, you would be entirely welcome. Entirely welcome. Thank you. So our greeter, Anna Booker. Yay! You did a great job and welcomed our students of the month. Really glad to see that. Thank you. And thought for the day from Linda Sinkay. You know, that's got a nice ring to it. So let's get her a mic.
Okay, I'll talk loud.
No, we need the mic.
So,
Little closer.
Little closer, okay. I was saying Vladimir Zelensky's speech to Congress this morning was very moving, and of course, as Rotarians, we know that peace is kind of a big deal for our group worldwide. And so my quote today is actually from Jimi Hendrix, and he said, "When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace."
We're going to get there, aren't we? So thank you very much, Linda. That's a beautiful thought. So we've got some visitors today. Where's that mic? Thank you, Jerry. Hey, you two could have the job Jerry's doing. And if you do that, I'll stay kind of here. Sort of.
And I'd like to do my best in introducing them. Lily Brown is our student of the month. Kimberly Nyberg, she kind of runs the school over there. Alina Johnson. Reva, okay. Nakai Johnson is your son, okay. And the other student-
Good morning, President. Yes, today our speaker, Michael, I do the introduction later.
Well, first, our guest is from member, three resident.
I joined, Jim Goodnett was my sponsor for Rotary a few years ago, and the words, when he was trying to explain to me Rotary, because you're gonna be the best president in our class. And I said, he is absolutely correct, so thank you, Jim. So, and then I said that I've got with me Lindsay Parker, who is from, is from Danville area. She moved to Texas, and now she's back here in Lakeland, so. Lindsay.
Welcome. Been going to First Fridays will recognize Lindsay as somebody who has joined us a couple of times. And Debbie,
She's a party animal.
oh my God, is that right? Well, you were definitely in the right place. So you didn't go home last night, right? Oh, good, okay. So I believe that is all of our guests, but welcome to the folk who are online. Nice to see you all, Jim and Barbara and Pat, PJ, and Joyce, and Judy. And then the rest of them are us, right? So here we are. It is time to do the mute all so that we don't shout out from the Zoom audience. And don't forget, if you're online, pay. And if you show up, pay. And if you stay home and don't feel like paying, pay anyway. Students of the month, that's what we wanted to come up to. And did you notice how many people did very good microphone etiquette? They had the phone close and right up there, and here we go. So it's been a while. I wanted to wait until we so we accumulated a couple of students here. Nakai Johnson, he's a senior at Laguna High School, and Lily Brown is a junior. And we've got a couple of things here to present to them, but before we do that, I'm just going to ask you a couple of real simple questions. Is that okay with you guys? Okay, so how are things going? Tell me a little bit about what you like about Laguna, what class you like, and then what you want to do after you graduate, which is coming up, right?
Well, right now I currently attend West County High School, and I like how everything, all the students are nice, and the school is well run by the staff, and I like the people in the boarding rooms. I like everything about the school. I think it's just a great environment for students.
So it's a little bit different this year, isn't it? Can you talk about that just for a minute? Just what's different about it, the classes?
Take those schools.
Well, we were on Zoom last year, so it was a little difficult to kind of get back in that school. How should I word this? It was just kind of more difficult just seeing the student, just to have that motivation over Zoom. So I just like now that the classes are back to being packed. It feels nice.
So 2 more questions. What do you do? What's your favorite class, and what are you going to do next year?
Favorite class is probably government. I just really like learning about history. It's really exciting me. But next year, I'm probably going to take regular courses, but I plan on taking a major in kinesiology.
Fantastic. Lily works at a pizza place in town, but so that's okay. And I'll tell you, I've talked with her a couple of times, and she's just great. She's got a wonderful attitude. She's got a good work ethic, which is kind of hard to find sometimes. But anyhow, you're a junior, right? And I know you're taking a construction class, so why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in my construction class, I think right now we are taking down a shed and learning how to reconstruct it. We're learning like foundation and the importance of insulation and just like kind of overall how you should be building your house if you ever want to build a house in the future, or just any type of shed or type of construction.
So tell us what your favorite class is, and you're a junior, so you got another year to go, but what do you think about doing when you graduate?
All right, I think my favorite class right now is probably sustainable living. We are learning about what happened in 2013, 2014 about Ukraine. And it is very sad, but I think it's good to know about just what happened. And I think that in the future, I think I want to be either a social worker or some type of psychology major.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we've got something for each of you guys. We've got these beautiful plaques that you get to present proudly on the wall of your room or wherever you reside. And it says, Student of the Month for your exemplary demonstration of respect, responsibility. So I've got one of these for each of you guys. Just a second. We got a little bit of, oh, did I give you the wrong one? Okay. So we got a little bit of cash. It won't go too far, but it'll buy you a couple of pizzas. There's some other pizza places.
Very inspiring. Congratulations and thank you. Wow. So we've got some birthdays, and Rod McCauley's is today. Where's that mic? Where's that Rod? There you go.
You want to hear something?
How about a show?
Well, today's the day, and it's a little, I'm edging towards the end of geezerdom. When you're in your 60s, you're a proto-geezer. When you're in your 70s, you're a geezer. When you're in your 80s, you become a codger. I'm getting close to that. The good news, and then when you're in your 90s, so fortunate or unfortunate, you're a patriarch. It's light at the end of the tunnel. And the good news is that I'm 11 years younger than Gus.
Well, it's his birthday today. What do you guys think? One more round of singing? Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. And many more. So is there a
badge that you get with the, codger to, hey, I'm never gonna be able to get that right. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a doctor's note.
Yeah, if I have to pay for a doctor to get that right, I ain't going then. So PJ, don't forget, Ellie's birthday's coming up on the 18th. You got that? And membership anniversaries. Let's start with Gus, who wanted to save last week's celebration for today.
Well, good question, David. You wanna know why I come here? Or why I enjoy it?
Here?
Yeah, well,
A little closer with the mic.
for one thing, it's a great breakfast. Listening to all that good advice and enjoying the projects you do, the money you spend, hopefully other people's money. And, and it's good to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, and it's good to have you there.
Thank you.
So glad you're a member, and you have been a member since 2012. Is this your 10th year anniversary then?
I can't remember.
Me neither. Yeah, I can't do the math because I don't have the merit badge.
That's right. You're not into the business yet.
Hey, I turned 70 in January. And what does that count for? I'm a geezer. I'm a geezer. Oh my God. I'm so excited. I want to give tributes to all the people who've helped me to be a geezer. So Linton Hale, please stand and celebrate. Yeah, yes, we again and again. We want you back here all the time to be talking to us. So it's your anniversary, and for you, it's year 6.
Well, it's hard to believe. Last week I mentioned how this place has given me a sense of family and people who I know I can trust. I didn't mention at the time that in 2016 I got to go to India thanks to Michael, which was unexpected. He said, in 2 weeks I was supposed to go to India. You want to go? Yeah. I spent some time there before. It was a wonderful trip. I want to go again. And gosh, that's, I don't really know what to say beyond that. I mentioned that I love the international aspect of it. And it's nice to be in a place where I feel relatively young. As opposed to at the grocery store where they start to ask me, am I 60?
I'm not sure how we should feel about that, but I think we feel good, right? This is okay? Just thank you, Linton. By the way, Wayne, why do I keep hearing about Hippazaz Pizza during the course of a meeting? You know, we don't usually find people because your fines are all paid up, but you should be fined anyway. Come on. And by the way, Hippazaz Pizza, is it? Oh, it's his whole credit card? Hippazaz Pizza is a totally awesome place to go. Everybody should go there. Let's go there today and do. I should take that over, we'll process it.
Do we get to discuss the amount?
What is your limit?
We'll find out.
This week or?
We'll tell you afterwards. Get the square.
I guess we could do $100.
All right. And where do you want your $100 to go?
Pardon me?
Where do you want your $100 to go?
Where it's needed.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you. Let's see what's next. Ah, yes, a moment of sadness. Chai Radikul, who was president of Rotary International from Thailand and a wonderful person, developed a wonderful theme: sow the seeds of love. Is that what we're talking about here in the room today? Yeah. So he passed away last week. Sorry to see him go. A wonderful, wonderful person. I don't remember, who was our president? I thought so. Michael, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not quite sure what to do with this. But this has been hanging around in the closet for a while, and it doesn't fit me. So what's it say? It says tech on the T-Tech. It says tech on the sleeve. Does anybody recognize this jacket and want to buy it back? No? Going once? Going twice? I'm going to hang it in the road, in the mason's closet, and you know, it'll become part of their ceremonies. Okay with that? I'm okay with that. So, moving forward. Talk about magic moments. This is our crew mixed with Rotary Club of Sebastopol. Down there, do you recognize some of these people? Who's that guy on the right? Can you tell by the style? It's Bill Suber. And there's Nick, and there's John Breck. Rarely gets on his knees, but he's down there now. And we had Interact students join us and work like demons in there pulling stuff. I thought, okay, it's gonna be a quick little event, right? Jump in there. Didn't seem like it was that big a deal. It was a major trailer, a major trailer load. Look at this. This little guy got filled up all the way to the brim, and I brought over some wood chips in my truck. I didn't do any work, but I brought over some wood chips. Those got distributed, and then they filled my truck with debris, and you couldn't drop off anymore that day, so it ended up at my house. Thanks a lot. But is that inspiring? Go down and take care of the post office, and I think that they should take that these photos should be posted on the wall at the post office. People have been going down there and stealing plants. Well, we did. This is a joke. Yeah, so Rotarians went down there and stole landscaping and stuck it in a truck and drove off with it. What's the deal with that? But it was a huge cleanup. There was a lot of work, a lot of debris, a lot of sweat, and a lot of laughs, and everybody had a good time, and they all drank water. I just dropped my trunk off and disappeared. I'm not allowed to do work like that. That's vicious. So thank you to the folks who did that. Inspiring the folks who did that. When you look at all the things, because I was thinking about this. I was thinking, I don't know a year that we did as many things together. The hiking group. We've been doing First Fridays for a while, but First Fridays are something we really need, huh? You know, people have been getting back together and it's been lovely and important. We did another drive-up Christmas opportunity. Just think of the things that happen every week that we're doing. Going up to Redwood Food Bank. Well, that's once a month, but going up to Redwood Food Bank, we're starting to do community activities that they're called HOP. Dan's been talking about them, helping out people. So we have a new list from the senior center of tasks that seniors can't accomplish on their own, that we are invited to come and help. And we're doing that in coordination with other service groups here in town, Kiwanis, Masons, Seroptimists, and all. So lots to be grateful for. I'm grateful for everybody in this place. And some other special things. I've got, so moments of gratitude, and if you don't mind, I'd like to be first. That was just a start. How about when Wayne, so our TV died last week. It was a free TV, it was given to us, so it lasted as long as it wanted to, and it went away. Wayne went down, got a new one, got Bill Sarver to help him to install it, and we're back up and rolling again today. How cool is that in terms of being able to? Yesterday afternoon, 3 o'clock, if you had been here, these two gentlemen came down here, and Diana Curtis was here, and we were rehearsing the technology to make sure that this all works, so it would be smooth for you. You just, you can stroll in, pay for your breakfast, have a few laughs. These guys are working hard every day. And is that Terry Kelly over there carrying around the gimbal? Do you like it better when he carries the gimbal? I like it better when he carries the gimbal. Hold your hand up if you too would like to move around with the gimbal and the mic sometime. Yeah, we got people who will do that. Yeah, I'm fired from doing that. I'd like to be fired from doing that. So no more, I don't touch the gimbal unless nobody picks it up. Anybody else have a moment of gratitude they would like to share? I see Brian in the back. Wait for the mic, and good mic etiquette puts it very close to your face.
And the trick is not wear a mask.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, stay back there.
So I wasn't here last week. I was in Houston with a conference. So I missed, my wife's birthday was last week, or actually Monday.
We tried to warn you.
Yeah. So that was nice. But this conference was an oil and gas energy conference, and I expected a bunch of big companies that were still doing oil and trying to profit as much as possible there. And I was wildly surprised that 100% or 101% of the investments and what's going on is about green energy. And so a lot of people that I knew in that industry, or a few that I knew, are retiring, the older people, the geezers. And it's all young people, and all they're talking about, all they're doing, all the investments are going into alternative green energy. So that was a huge surprise. Super grateful for my marketing staff over there. Debbie and Lindsay, they're part-time and helping a ton, and it was really great response. There's a CEO from Ford and Google and PG&E, and then me. It was a tiny little company, but super well received. I'm super stoked about that. So I'm working with our little company with those bigger companies. Good stuff's going to happen. So in case anyone doesn't know, our company takes waste plastic and we convert that into fuel, and also like a liquid that turns back into plastic. So it's full circle recycling. And as vocation chair, I give Wayne and anybody else freedom and permission to promote their company.
That's very nice of you. How much does that cost you then? Another 100? I heard another 100. Linda! Thank you. Okay, any announcements for the good of the order? Yes, Diana Curtis. Hold on, one moment.
I was going to add this on to the bit about what's coming up, but we're getting shorter on time, so I thought I'd slip it in now. We have the district training assembly coming up. It will start on April Fool's Day, April 1st, and they're going to be at the Grace Hudson Museum, which is at the Sun House in Eureka on Friday night. And then on Saturday, the one of the major themes here is the environment, our latest avenue of service, which is very exciting to me. And we will learn all about Rotary, how we get money for our grants, how we maintain membership, how we are opening up to all people to belong, and joining with community to support our local community and our worldwide community. So mark that day. Rotary will pay for the $50 for the Saturday. You're on your own for the Friday night. If you want to come, if you haven't received an email about this, let me know. I will send it out, or I may send it to you anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And an email did go out, and look in your inbox on the 8th. And it did come through DAC-DB, the provider that we use. So look in your trash if you don't see it back on March the 8th. That's when it showed up. District Training Assembly. Any other announcements? Moving forward, this is about that. So you can show up on Friday, find a place to stay. They've got places to stay in Ukiah. It's nice. And then Saturday is the district assembly from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Ukiah Convention Center. But you need to sign up in advance. Otherwise, they won't have one of those cool name tags for you. So don't forget the Apple Blossom Parade is coming up. And the theme is going to be superheroes. Redux. Crab feed. The Masons would love to invite you to their crab feed, $80 and all you can eat. Some people are talented at that. All you can eat is lost on me. But you see that little logo guy there? You can tag that with your phone and show up right here on March the 26th. Next week's program presenter is Dale Doherty. Many people know Dale Doherty. Founder, is he not? What's the name of that business at the north end of town? O'Reilly and Associates, yep. And our speaker today, introduced by Jim Goodenough. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, President David. I'd like to introduce Michael Papayek. He's our speaker today. He is actually Dr. Papayek. He's not a medical doctor, but a PhD in mathematical modeling of ecosystems. And we worked together on the presentation and the logistics over the phone. It's very nice to actually meet him here yesterday. He came also to help freeze the skids and get the meeting ready. He's a retired Iron High School math teacher. And I don't see Marty up there, make a crack about Marty's the only smarter person.
Go ahead.
And he was a department chair there at Iron. That's exciting. Retired. A Sebastopol resident. In fact, if it's all right, I'll reveal he's PJ's neighbor. So kind of exciting. And he's a fairly new docent at the Robert Ferguson Observatory since about mid-November. And he's been working with there's like an antique 8-inch refractor telescope and a 20-inch telescope that does photography. So he's going to speak to us today about the James Webb Space Telescope. Please give him a warm welcome.
Hey, am I on? Yes. Always bothers me when people ask that, but am I on? Well, I wanted to give my little thing of gratitude before I start. And that, first I want to thank you for inviting me, for coming here and giving this presentation, but even more of, it's just a great way to start the day with a group of people who have such a spirit of giving. So that was my thought for gratitude. So I'm going to be talking about the James Webb Space Telescope. And when I was first asked, you don't mind, I'm going to take this off because it's causing.
So I came yesterday, like Jim said, to help with technology. Obviously.
Problems. Okay. When I first wanted to talk about it, I was thinking about, it was right after the launch that we started talking about this, and it was uppermost in my mind. I was on watching every day what was going on, how fraught with potential failure the launch was, and getting to the stable orbit point and all that stuff. So it was very exciting to me, and I first proposed that, and Jim very kindly said, no, they're interested in the science, but did that stuff. So this is what I usually do to advance. I've got to go over here. This is basically the size of the James Webb Space Telescope. It's got 4 main mission. It's a 5-year primary science mission, after which, it'll be a little bit more open to topics and so forth, and that would be these other topics of opportunity. Yes, and so I want to start off with Hubble. What can Hubble see? Hubble has been up in the up there in outer space for about 22 years, since 1990. It also had a 5-year primary initial meeting. As you may remember, we're all of the age, we could remember that when it was first put up, it was nearsighted, like me. And that's really an example. When I would teach math or science, when I was teaching college, I have to pay attention here. My son. But this was here. Somehow or other, we stopped sharing screen. Oh, okay. All right. Hubble was sent up into orbit, and it was nearsighted. It was myopic. And it was a great example. When I was teaching, I tried to explain to my students the difference between precision and accuracy. And usually it was pretty difficult to do. But that was a perfect example that was one of the most precisely ground primary mirrors ever made. And it was wrong. And because it was precise, it was able to be corrected. And so a subsequent shuttle mission went up to correct the vision. And since then, it has given us some really fabulous images. So there's this slide here, which is currently up. It can only see what we can see, but it can see so much more because it was as if our pupils were 2.4 meters in diameter and could stare at something and collect light for an indefinite amount of time. We collect light for 1/10 of a second. That's all of the light that we collect for. And that message came up and kind of got in the way. And this is the type of examples of images that we have gotten from Hubble. We have got cold molecular clouds, emission nebula, galaxies, far distant galaxies, and supernova and planetary nebula. So this is this bottom center nebula is the end life of a star, of a sun-like star. This is how our sun will end up in about 4.5, 5 billion years. At the end of the 5-year mission, the director of the space said, this has gone really great, better than obviously when it was myopic, and let's just go ahead and point it at nothing. And so they did for 10 days, just sat there and pointed at nothing. Figured this would be a great way, we'll tell the world, we can see the end of the universe. And what ended up happening was, I don't know why the advancer isn't working. There we go. We got this image pointing at that empty space between all of the stars. And this image is looking at galaxies that are roughly 13 to 13.2 billion years old. And if you can look and see some of the faintest patches there, that's the absolute limit of the resolution of the Hubble. And the reason why I put this on a timer, and I always take too long to help speed me up. The reason why that is there's dust between us, and looking through 13 billion years of dust, visible light doesn't penetrate dust. And so that's the limit of what Hubble could see. So we needed another type of telescope. And in 2003, they put up an infrared telescope called the Spitzer telescope, and it made some amazing discoveries. This is a long infrared range where you can see kind of cooler objects, and you can see through dust. And basically, dust is transparent to infrared light. So the Spitzer was the first telescope to discover, actually image the disk of an exoplanet, a planet outside of our solar system. It detected the birth of a star. It was pointed at a nebula
that had no stars in it. And after a while, basically, they detected a faint image of light. And it took several years, but they confirmed that that was indeed the kind of the beginnings of fusion in that star. Also discovered that our galaxy wasn't a simple spiral, it has a really strong barred spiral in it, which has been a structure that's kind of tricky to understand why it's stable. And the last thing is been very much in the press. We discovered that the center of our galaxy has a supermassive black hole. And that spurred all sorts of research into stellar motion around the center of our galaxy. And essentially made us aware of the supermassive black holes in other galaxies as well. So here's what the JWST can see. It's going to build on what Spitzer found. Okay, it's looking more in the mid and short near infrared range. Every material object, all of us, the tables, the glasses, every material object in the universe radiates electromagnetic radiation. And the peak amount of peak frequency at which it radiates, like here we see stars in the blue to the red area. This tells you the temperature of the object. So we radiate at about 98.6 degrees, which if I add light, it's about 350 degrees Kelvin. So that's the temperature that we radiate at. And you can see these stars radiate from 7,000 to 4,000. James Webb will be able to look at things that radiate from 4,000 degrees down to about 600 degrees. That's the range of the near infrared spectrometer, near infrared instruments, is to be able to measure that. Those wavelengths are able to see through dust. It's able to see stars that are forming. It's a cooler object, basically. And so that would greatly expand what Hubble is able to tell us. Now, what I have not showing is that also in the mid-range, it starts at where the near ends up and goes to all the way to 5. And yes, this is a slide where I basically see the temperature of planets radiate above below 600 degrees Kelvin. So here we have a nebula in the constellation Aquila, which means eagle. And this is a cold molecular cloud. And this is it through infrared. So you can see here, hopefully this goes back. Yeah. So this is dust. By the way, the density of the dust and material in this cold molecular cloud is way less than the greatest vacuum that we can create on the planet. So it's just that there's so many light years, just thickness of this, that it actually cuts down the amount of visible light that can go through it. And so infrared can reveal the structure of molecular clouds and the bursts of new star systems. In the Orion constellation, which is just now, we're at the end of Orion's season, so it sets around 9 o'clock at night, no longer easily visible in the sky. But here in the bottom, you've got, this is the Orion Nebula. This is it in infrared. Visible light, infrared. The Orion is a huge molecular cloud complex which is giving birth to stars. This is a mixture of basically cold molecular clouds, what's called emission spectra, which is a lot of what we see here, where the molecules in the cloud are being excited by the light that's behind them. So the light is putting so much pressure and giving it so much temperature, it's lighting up and the electrons leave and it starts to radiate itself. That's what an emission spectra is. So we've got a lot of that going on. And Hubble will be able to look at a lot more structure than that, than what Spitzer was able to. But I didn't point out in that slide where I had the pictures of, those were the relative sizes of the telescopes. So the advantage of Webb over Spitzer is the size. So Spitzer's mirror was about this big, whereas Webb has 18 mirrors of about this big. I'll focus into one point. Here, as I couldn't let go of Webb, I wanted to say how Webb got to L2, got to the Lagrange points and what they are. There's special points in space. You can see from this is like a topographic map of gravity in outer space, where you've got the sun and the earth in their gravity wells. And these flat areas around the, these flat areas around at the top of the hill, where the gravity, strength of gravity for between the earth and the sun is equal. And what that does is it means that here at L2, if I can go back to that, at this point right here, that point, even though it's outside the Earth's orbit, and typically that would go slower, so the Earth would pass around faster than it, it's sped up by the Earth. The gravity strength from the sun and the Earth is the same, so it goes around the sun. And that means it's just perfect for a place for communication between the Earth and the satellite. And moreover, because of this orbit, it's not at the L2 point, it's orbiting around the L2 point. It means it's outside of the shadow of the Earth, and the sun is always charging up the solar panels, so it can stay in power. So the diameter of its orbit around L2 is about the same as the diameter of the moon around the Earth. And it makes 2 of those orbits a year and going as we go around. So it's a really cool structure. It's more stable being in orbit around L2 than being at L2. So it's like a spinning stop on top and stays upright for a long time. Semi gyroscopic. So getting to the actual mission now of what Webb is about. We have the first mission is first light and reionization. So here, better with my left hand. So this is about as far back in time as Hubble could see, which is about 13.3, 13.4 billion years ago. So that's still 400 million years after the Big Bang occurred. And so when it's vision, so that image you saw, it still was looking at mature galaxies, basically fully formed galaxies. So we want to say, how did those galaxies come to be? How did the first stars form? And that's where Webb will be able to look back into this area, back into what we call the cosmic dark ages. So what happens here is, at about 300,000 years after the birth of, after the Big Bang, the universe had expanded so much that it cooled down to about 2.7, 2.8 degrees Kelvin, 2.8 degrees above absolute zero. So when it was really hot at the beginning, billions and billions and billions of times hotter than the center of the sun, you had protons, neutrons, and electrons were all isolated. There was just too much energy for them to form molecules and atoms. And so, but it cooled down after about 300, 400,000 light years to almost absolute zero. Once it cooled down, these electrons and protons and neutrons were able to form stable elements of hydrogen and helium. So at that point, the universe became transparent to light. On the unfortunate thing was it was so cold there was no light. So we have this couple 100 million years or more of the dark ages where there is just, it's all transparent, but there's no light. But then gravity, dark matter and gravity start pulling stuff together, and somewhere in about 200, 300, 400 million years after the Big Bang, stars started to form and light up. So that's the process that Webb, that's one of the processes that Webb will allow us to discover. Assembly of galaxies. So what's going to start here in a second, I hope, is basically a simulation that's been put together by NASA of how perhaps a galaxy like the Milky Way formed from collisions of smaller galaxies. It doesn't seem to want to start. Well, it started a moment ago. Unfortunately, I stopped it. So it's basically just, and this is in the computer. This is a simulation that took a couple of months to create, because each one of the little dots is simulating a star, and there's billions of little dots in this supercomputer. Sorry about the animation not taking place, but it's just, spinning around. Pretty cool. This is an image, so this is the first two, how galaxies can form, and actually Webb won't be looking at smaller galaxies turning into big galaxies. Webb will be looking at how the smaller galaxies came to be to begin with. So what was the development that gave rise to that? This is an image from the ALMA telescope, which ALMA is Atacama long, I forget the acronym. It's a millimeter, submillimeter array of 60 radio telescopes in northern Chile. And an image, this is an actual image of a star with a protoplanetary disk. A planetary disk that's beginning to form. And what Webb will be able to do is to take a look at these things and actually analyze the detailed chemical structure of it. And so to be able to tell us essentially, how different types of planets come together on these systems and form potentially the types of planets that can sustain life. And this is an image of how that happens. So these are spectrographic images for different elements. There's different chemical signatures in the spectrum. These are called emission spectra. So this means that there's energy going into the substance, which is causing electrons to basically release radiation. So that creates a bright. There are other types of spectra called absorption spectra, where it's taking in the light and absorb those bands, instead of being light, will be dark. The absorption spectra are useful and relevant to planetary atmospheres. So as Webb is looking at planetary atmospheres, as you can see here, a lot of the interesting signatures of life-giving molecules and so forth, like water, carbon dioxide, oxygen, methane, are outside the visible wavelength bands. So Hubble would have no chance of being able to look at atmospheres of planets and be able to tell whether that was an atmosphere that could give life. But the infrared telescopes can do that. So this is another area where Webb will be looking at. So what we've discovered is there are two general types of atmospheric compositions that indicate the possible or likely presence of life. One is like ours, so the top image up here: oxygen, methane, carbon dioxide, ozone, nitrogen, water vapor. That type of mixture of molecules really can only happen, according to our theories, if there's life present on the planet. But studies have also shown that early in Earth's history, our atmosphere was more like methane, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor with no oxygen, but there was still life there. It's called anaerobic life, which means it was able to process energy without using oxygen. It was limited oxygen. And so those are the two of the primary atmospheric types that we're going to look at. But it's often thought that if there's oxygen in the atmosphere, that means there's life, but that's not the case. There's under studies that would basically determine there are 3 different types of oxygen atmospheric planets that probably won't be supportive of life. So one would be a lot of carbon dioxide, eternal runaway, greenhouse runaway. Too much water on the planet can mean that there's not enough some other life-giving gases, and too little water. And so basically, that's it. That's James Webb, where it is right now. It's in the final couple of months still of alignment. The mirrors, the 18 mirrors that I didn't talk much about, they have to be precisely aligned to within 1/10,000th of a human hair of precision in order to do this imaging. And so that's where we are right now. We've done the course alignment, it's finished, and it's again successful in doing that. So the next month and a half or so is the final alignment of that. And after that, they'll be working on tracking it. They're going to be tracking asteroids and comets and stuff more close to home to hone in its ability to be this ultra precise on the tracking. And then by, I think it's more or less around June, we might expect to actually see some beginning results from the telescope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your joining us today and presenting so admirably. I'm sorry that, I don't know what happened with the transitions either, but so it goes. And the poor Zoom audience, for some reason, our screen share didn't work for them. Yeah, so is it okay if I distribute to those folks in the PDF and email?
No problem. And
Thank you.
I know Patrick Larry is going to stop by and say, I want to see my own private children.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do that. And
Quick question back here.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Where are you located?
Where am I located?
No, the observatory.
Ah, very good. It's located at the L2 point, 1 million miles on the other side of the Earth from the sun.
Okay, so it's not the Sonoma County.
okay, well, in your honor, we have contributed some books to the Sebastopol Union School District Library. And one of those books about diversity, equity, and inclusion will be inscribed with your name. So go on by the school and look for your book, right? Yeah, thank you again. Really grateful for you being here. Thank you. So, folks, we're almost at the end. There is a board meeting on, there we go. There's a board meeting on Monday, the 21st. So those of you who are board members, please do show up. Everybody is welcome. And those of you who are in the avenues of service and are going to report, if you get your reports to me earlier, I'll incorporate that so that it can be distributed and everybody can see it. So Judy, off, or are you still with us?
There. She's muted, but she's there.
So Judy, have you a joke to share with us today?
I do. Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
Can you hear me? Evidently, you can't hear me.
No audio.
I'm on.
I think she's unmuted herself,
I
but we're
can
having
hear you.
technical difficulties with the,
Not again.
oh, not that. Okay. Okay, well, anybody have a joke they want to share? Or should we randomly go to the book that I was given? And this is Marlon Brando? Wait. She is.
She does at the top. Judy's there, and she says she's unmuted, but she's not coming out the loudspeakers.
Yeah, so what's happening is our little speaker here is not working. So let's move on. And thank you, Judy. Sorry about that, but there's something wrong with the Sonos that's over there. Uh-oh, no, that's not right. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Here we go. This is about dogs. When a man's best friend is his dog, that dog has a problem. Oh, Joe,
Here we go.
got any more Irish songs for us, or should we just?
Happy trail.
Happy trails.
Trails to you.
Till
Happy trails to you. Trails to you. Till we meet
again.
So, if you don't mind helping to get things cleared up here, that would be great.